All right, welcome back. The 4th of February was World Cancer Day, and I have a guest here with me who, in December 2016, realized that he was losing his sense of hearing, and then in July of 2017 announced to the public that he had cancer. He's someone who is quite known in the entertainment industry, a media personality, radio presenter, and noted hype man. Uche, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks a lot for being here today.
It is
the sensei himself.
Sensei, thank you.
First of all, how are you doing? How are you doing? It's been 3 years since
Yeah.
your announcement that you had cancer. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm fine. To be honest, still have 1 or 2 issues. From that period, this is still not fantastic. It's like the volume was toned down to about 5. But this is okay. But apart from that, I'm good. Thanks.
So what cancer of what?
It was Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay.
That's what it's called. And it affected the whole nasal region. So we know everything here is connected.
Yeah.
Eye, nose, the ear, the mouth. So it affected everything here, and it was growing, it's a cancerous tumor growing on the inside. Couldn't breathe, couldn't hear,
So you started noticing that you couldn't hear properly?
Yeah.
And then you went for a scan, or what exactly happened?
Okay, so this, with the hearing thing for me, being that, you work on radio, wearing headphones, you hosted events and all of that, so you loud music. So I've had recurrent issues with my ear in the past. So it'd be like, oh, you're just having, ear infections, go ahead, So that was what was happening in 2017. So I was doing, ear infection, maybe I'll go to, have a checkup, and it's okay, it's an infection, take this. So that happened all through 2017 into 2018. And then a pharmacist of mine that was always going to regularly said, you know what, why don't you go see a specialist, an eye, nose, ear doctor, and, take it from there. And I went there, saw the doctor, and they were like, okay, you know what, do this particular test. And I was reluctant because I was like, I don't need to go that far. But I did that test a week after, brought it to the doctor a week after. And then he looked at me and said, you need to do another test. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I did the other test, came back to him after a week, and he looked at me and he was like, okay, so you have a cancerous tumor. It wasn't cancerous then, sorry. You have a tumor in your nose growing. But for us to know if it's cancerous, we have to do a biopsy. And he did the biopsy, and it was cancerous. So, everything just came to a pause at that point in my life.
Yeah. How old were you at this time?
Let's see, 27.
27.
Yeah.
So, because most people, when they hear cancer, they think it doesn't happen to young people. They think it's an age thing.
Yeah.
So what happened next? Of course, I know at a point you had to travel out. Was it because healthcare wasn't available here? What exactly was the reason for you having to do it outside here?
Okay, so
or go outside Nigeria?
I actually planned to have everything done here, and I'd started, treatment here. So after the biopsy, a treatment plan was given to me. But my doctor actually advised me initially, you know what, I think you should go for treatment outside the country. How do you get that kind of money? So I started treating myself with everything I had. I'd done like about 3 sessions of chemotherapy in Nigeria, but there was no improvement. Things were getting worse. My hearing, of course, lost here. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't breathing for. And then I wanted to throw in the towel, but my friends were like, nah, dude, you can't. And I was like, I'm a media person. You know how people see you in the media and expect that you have everything at your disposal. And I'm like, how am I going to bounce back? How am I going to recover? And they're like, no, we're going to rally around you and we're going to see what happens. So we threw out a call, put it out in public, and I was really amazed at how much people, rallied around me. And we went through different treatment plans for the US, very expensive, UK, terribly expensive, France, also India. And we settled for Istanbul in Turkey because there was a doctor that had taken his dad to that particular hospital and got really, really good treatment. So yeah, that's how that happened.
What happened with Luth exactly? Because
you see, in this country, you just don't expect some things to be. We know how we say things are bad in Nigeria, but when you have a first-hand knowledge, when you have a first-hand experience of how bad things are, So I went to Luth. I wanted to have my radiotherapy in Luth. As at that time in 2018, the radiotherapy machine was non-functional. It wasn't. I got there 6 a.m. I waited. You stay outside. The place is locked. You write your name down on a piece of paper. You're waiting for the staff to come. They come in. They give everybody chairs. And I was like, okay, so what's going to happen? Is the machine working? And one of the, okay, this thing didn't work. This machine didn't work.
So what were you guys waiting for?
They were like, we were waiting and hoping that we'll be on a list of, first.
For whenever it works.
Yeah, whenever it comes. So they were like, they're expecting parts to come fix it. I was just really sad. And I left that place really heartbroken. Also heartbroken because there was a time in our history, I think, Yar'Adua's wife, when we had a cancer campaign. We wanted to build an international cancer center. And I think up to 8 billion naira was raised. I remember well because it was a national event. That place has never been used, to my knowledge. To the best of my knowledge, it's in Abuja. It's just sitting down there. And it's supposed to be like an international cancer center whereby people will get first-class treatment. But nothing up to date. And that's really sad, really.
So you went to Istanbul, you got treated.
Yeah.
Did they declare you cancer-free, and at what point did this happen, if at all?
Okay, so Istanbul in July, late July, I think. Spent 4 months, chemotherapy. We had to redo everything again, the tests, just so that they can be very sure, of what treatment plan to follow. So we did everything. They identified what the cancer was, and we started chemotherapy, went through that. And at the end of chemotherapy, I was, they looked through my system, and they were like, okay, the cancer has been cleared because it was in a nasal region, spread to, what they call, metastasized into some other parts of my body. That was what they were initially worried about.
Where else it was?
Yeah, spreading. And they thought it was going to, they actually thought I was going to die. But, because of the way I was like, okay, let's just do this no matter what. So we did it. After the last chemotherapy session, the sixth session, it was cleared on my system, but they said, okay, you know what, you're still going to have to do radiotherapy, just so that it can burn the area around my nasal region where it happened, where it originated, so that there'll be a 99% chance of it not coming back.
Yeah.
So that happened. I came back in December just because I was mentally tired, from being away from my family and people that I love. Came back refreshed, and then I went back to Istanbul in March and finished radiotherapy, and then back here. So cleared, thank you.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
To put this in a bit of a context, how much does a session cost of chemotherapy?
I don't have those numbers here, but you're looking upwards of $1,000.
At least per session?
Yeah.
And that's besides all of the other treatments and all that come with it?
Drugs and drugs that you constantly have to be put on because it's very toxic to the system, chemotherapy. They have to make sure, when they do a blood work, that your blood is strong enough, that you're strong enough, healthy enough to be able to take that medication. And it's given after every 1.5 weeks or 2 weeks, depending on how. Mine was 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. Just after 2 weeks, we do another blood test. If it's not, there were actually times when my system was too low, the immune system was very, very weak, and the doctor was like, no, we can't continue.
Yeah.
You have to wait again for another week or 2 weeks before. So there were other drugs, there was so much put into the treatment.
I mean, good to know that you are free, at least now.
Yeah.
And it all ended in praise and not in tears. Were you surprised, impressed with the response you got from colleagues in the industry when you reached out to people? What sort of reactions did you get back from people?
I was shocked because before I put that information out, I spoke to PR agents that were kind of affiliated to where I was working at the time. And they let me know that it was going to affect my career in media. And that was one thing I was afraid of because, at that time there was just this, incline, things was just going. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? But when I put it out and I saw the response, I was like, no way. How are people even responding? Because I've seen campaigns. We see campaigns of people in media. They're sick. They want help, and nobody responds. But people responded, and it just made me really humble, especially from people that I did not know. There were thousands and thousands of Nigerians that were donating,
In, yeah.
money that you just like, me, little old me. Nah, man, I was totally taken aback.
I know off air we're talking about this.
Yeah.
And you said that one of the probably sort of downsides of it is the fact that people seem to know you as the cancer guy now,
Yeah.
as against knowing you for your work, which means your work is very, very important to you.
Yeah.
You love what you do.
Of
you
course.
love being a media personality. Has it affected you, like you just mentioned, since coming back? Are there people who want to hire you for stuff and they say, maybe not? Do you find that you've been discriminated against?
Yeah, I won't call it discrimination. I'm just saying that, people work based on how much knowledge they have on anything.
Yes.
With me, before I left in 2018, I was about to sign contracts. I issued not tens of millions, but all that stopped. And then coming back, they were like, are you sure you can do this? Are you physically okay? So I'm like, yes, I can do it. What is your limit? I'm like, I have no limits. But people see me now and they say, okay, you know what? A cancer survivor. I am happy, to be able to say, okay, I survived this, I beat this.
I think it is a big deal to survive cancer.
It is a big deal, but I wasn't prepared for the aftermath.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking physically or health-wise, I'm talking mentally.
Yeah.
Because the challenge is there, the struggle is there. You see, the post-traumatic stress that you get from being in that kind of situation is something that I didn't know. I thought I was just going to jump back into everything and everything. Yeah. But there are days where I tell my friends, I wake up and it's like I'm still battling the same thing because I feel like I inhale and if there's a little blockage, I am panicking.
You're paranoid.
And I'm calling doctors and I'm making phone calls. So yes, it has affected me in that way, but it has also taught me that you should learn to appreciate every single moment in life that you have. Yeah, which is very, very important.
Which was going to be my next question, because how was your perspective on life changed completely? Because you hear that a lot of people say, oh, they went through this and they became a different person. They had appreciation for things that didn't matter before, things that matter now. Did that happen to you?
Oh, it did.
And to what extent?
It did.
Because you work in an industry that's very fickle, if I want to use that word.
Very fickle because even when the year I came back, there were some things that happened. And I was shocked as to how some people in the industry responded to me. And they said things like, oh, Shebi na we were the ones that contributed and helped you, and now you're like, I'm like...
Oh, there were expectations of you
people
to do certain things because they helped you.
Because they helped. Oh. So that made me sit back and, rethink my life. Okay, so this is where I'm at now because people...
You feel like you owe them.
Someone actually came to me at an event and was like, dude, do you know that I didn't believe anything as regards to you being sick, even when you came back? Because look at you, it was like you went for a holiday. And I was like, wow. I was so shocked, but I smiled through it. I was like, you probably would never understand what it's like to be here. So yes, there have been those times when I've just looked at things and I'm like, okay, you know what, let me just run away from all of this. But I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm learning every day how to deal with those things. And I'm learning how to be better with accepting that people don't understand. They want to empathize with you, and most people do empathize, but they don't understand. So all you have to do is just to help them understand and teach them what and not what to say or do.
I've met someone who has survived cancer in the past, and people always think that when you hear cancer survivor, it's the end of the fight, But I mean, this is someone who I kind of knew well, and I knew there was a medication sort of life that continued after that. Is that the case with you? Is this an ongoing, I don't want to call it a battle, but is this something that you're continuing to sort of handle?
I asked my doctor after the treatment, and it was like, so this is the end. And both of them were like, no. That they're not saying anything would happen, but there's a possibility. I was even during treatment going through like a lot of stories online and how people had, a reoccurrence, So in my head, I'm saying, in my heart, I'm saying this is the end. But I also have to go for regular checkups every year. Recently, I had like a bacterial infection just around the nasal because it's really super sensitive now. Somebody might sneeze and I'm getting the worst off from it. So yes, there are things that I have to do. There is a certain way that I have to be, which really is annoying when you consider it. But I just look at it as, okay, I'm alive. If this and this is what I have to do for me to, stay in optimum shape, why not? I'll deal with it and, I'll continue.
So no crazy treatments still happening?
No crazy treatments, just regular checkup. You have to go for checkup 3 times a year. We don't still have a PET CT scan in Nigeria. Just let that sink in, because that is one thing that, really, really, really breaks my heart.
Yeah.
There are people that want to find out if their system is cleared of cancer or what. We need to have the technology in this country to be able to handle these kind of diseases. First hand, we need to have it, world-class technology, but we don't. I'm only going to have to, I need to get to Istanbul or to get to Turkey or outside the country for me to do a PET CT scan, just because we don't have one of those machines in the country.
I'm sure you get a lot of people who are survivors, people who are battling cancer, who reach out to you or who you probably have met up with. Not everybody probably has the opportunity like you do to leave the country and get treated. What sort of stories do you hear?
After I came back, I think like a month after I came back or 2, God rest his soul now, a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, also within my age bracket, fell ill with the disease, with cancer. He battled with it, went to India. Right now he's passed away. He's no more, died from it. So there have been people that reach out to me. I try as much as I can. There's even a young lad right now that I'm trying to help. His name is Cyrus, a Unilag student that has a cancer that is a very cancerous tumor on his knee, very big. And we're trying to raise money to see that he gets treatment here in Nigeria if we can't get him outside the country. There was another one, a married woman. There's another one, a guy. So people are popping into my DM. People are reaching out to me via email. And I do as much as I can. If it's a fundraising effort, I try to see how I can, influence that. And I also give them advice where to go, link them up with everyone, the hospital that I know, because we have we stay in contact, myself and the hospital in Istanbul there. So I direct them to the hospital. So there's 1, 2, 3 people that I know that I've gone to, yes.
But there seems to be a number of foundations in Nigeria. I mean, I'm not going to mention it. That seem to work with cancer and cancer victims. And we still hear a lot of these stories. Are the foundations not enough, or is the healthcare here just too bad for the foundations to do anything?
The foundations are not
Are they not doing what they're supposed to do?
No, they're doing what they're supposed to do, but it requires a lot of money.
Yeah.
Treatment for me was upwards 20 million naira.
Yeah.
Treatment for the woman I was talking about, upwards 40 million naira.
Yeah.
Who has 40 million naira lying about? Everybody is depending on charity, charitable donations from people.
So basically, the foundations need more support.
They need more support. They really, really need more support financially to be able to do what they can within the country and also outside the country.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's talk about you now. I mean, what's happening with the career? What's going on with you and your life?
Right now, I took a break from radio.
Okay.
But not from me.
I saw you in a few stages in December. Still doing your thing.
Yeah, of course. I love doing that. I love hosting events.
And I actually I smile when I see you. I'm like, okay, the energy is still there. You're still hyping the artist. You're still jumping on stage. So nothing significant has changed with regards to that?
No, nothing has changed. I want more. Okay, I want more jobs. I want more. But I'm trying to, do more of the things that I love now. Brand communications, trying to help brands, align them to their audience. Creating my own type of events, hosting events, going online. Podcast is going to be launching soon from my own end, called Thinking Out Loud, about everything happening within the country and outside the country. People will be shocked to hear this, but I'm trying to put together a fashion line.
Okay. I was actually going to say you're looking quite snazzy.
Thank you very much. God bless my mother for this, because she was a fashion designer in the time.
Okay. When is that? Is that something for 2020 or still?
Yeah, looking at the end of the year. First off, have my designs, working with some fashion designers. Wear them first, see what people think about them, and see how we can make them commercial. But everything media is still on the table, and I'm still doing that.
Awesome. Looking forward to everything.
Thank you very much.
Podcasts, designs, and more health.
Thank you very, very
Thanks a lot,
much.
Uche, for being here
Thanks,
today.
bro.
Always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
We'll take a break now and be right back. Please don't go.